Hello, and the experiment is once again live. Welcome back to the experiment with Scott Raineri. I am Scott Raineri. And boom, and now I just flipped the hourglass to make sure this thing stays at 5 minutes. All right, so it's episode 6. I know, an episode that's not taking 2 years to make and release. Who'd have thunk? Seriously, I was surprised myself. But hey, we're here. Back again. And we got good stuff for you this week. Topical stuff. Well, topical in the sense of what's actually been trending this week, because I, in my nice and all-knowing wisdom, realized that in order to compete with the algorithm, I must embrace the algorithm, which means I have to watch a new movie. So, watching a new movie consists of one of two decisions. Do I decide to buckle down and actually get a ticket to a movie theater, go out there, potentially come back with disease, suffer, maybe die later in life? I don't know. But how about this? I decided, okay, what else could I go see that doesn't involve me using gas, especially when Earth Day was yesterday? And yeah, what should we do? How do we solve this problem? Well, problem is that when you have a good chunk of streaming services, you adding one more is just like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to add another one. But lo and behold, I am now in the possession of a free trial for Apple TV Plus, because the movie that Scott reviews is going to be ghosted. Yes, that's right. I'm going to review the follow-up to director Dexter Fletcher's Rocket Man, which is that's a bar, because I very much enjoyed Rocket Man. It's probably one of the best music biopics ever. The same director also came in last minute to sub in for a then fired Bryan Singer off of Bohemian Rhapsody. So, yeah, a nice change of pace for him, which I'm sure is welcome. The movie is also written by the same writers by writers of both Deadpool and American Dad. It's fun. It's nice. It's great. It'll be a fun little review. It stars, of course, Chris Evans and Ana de Armas in a rom-com that I won't spoil much here, but I'll say this. It's a cool little movie. And it also shows that when it comes to dating, there is definitely there's gaps. I'll address it more in a review, but there's gaps in knowledge and what we choose to pass down between generations and cultures. And one thing is for sure, someone should have helped this poor man think about why he got ghosted. Yeah. Either way. Anywho, speaking of Scott reviews, this is also what I wanted to share in the update, because as I'm getting back to doing the show, I wanted to show you guys, or let you guys know of the process that it takes for me to go and get one of these together. So for Scott reviews, what we're going to do is, the last week I did a movie that was in theaters. That was John Wick 4. Or John Wick Chapter 4, rather. And this week I'm doing a movie that was new on streaming, Ghosted, with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. And yeah, now I'm doing so I figure I'm going to do one theatrical, one streaming, and then there's going to be one random week of me recommending a movie, and then continuing that order. So that way I can recommend you guys stuff that you might not see in theaters, and that might not please the algorithm, because I have things that might not enjoy being in theaters or crap. Also, as I'm saying this, I'm only realizing that I'm setting myself up to have to go see a movie in theaters I may not want to see, but the internet may be buzzing about, so I may have to go see that. Like Beau's Afraid. I don't want to go see Beau's Afraid. You know why? Because Beau's Afraid is directed by Ari Aster, the director of Midsommar and Hereditary. 2 movies that have scarred me deeply, and one that I will never watch again, even though it is technically marvelous. The movie is Hereditary. I can't go watch that again. But either way, that's going to be the whole Sky Review thing. Oh, also, in the last few seconds we have here, on the back end of that review, what's going to be on my mind is dating versus technology, and whether or not we as a species really need technology to help us on dates, or help us get dates, or whether we really just deserve to not have any of that at all, really. And it's just the old-fashioned ways are best. But then again, I address. Trust me, this has something to do with me reviewing the movie Ghosted and having a Apple TV Plus plan. All right, I see the sands going down, and I see the ticks, and I see the ticking on this recording going up to 5 minutes. So we are now at the end of the lovely little intro update section of the show. So, kick back. So yeah, coming up, I'll review Scott reviews Ghosted, and I will definitely review the crap out of that movie, that's for sure. And then after that, I will debate technology and dating, because that's what you do in this day and age. You fight with your phone over the matches you're getting and whether you can swipe left or right on human beings. Man, look how far we've come as a society. Why can't I say that? Why can't I talk? Look how far we've come as a society. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Okay, that's enough for me. We're going over the limit here. All right, see you guys in a bit. Weird noises. Okay, weird noises is over. Great. Bam. 15-minute hourglass has been flipped, because now that means we're in Scott Reviews mode. So this week's Scott Reviews. But why is that down there? Okay, that's better. Scott Reviews Ghosted. Ghosted is a 2023 Apple original film by Sundance. The same people who's co-produced films such as Star Trek Beyond and the Mission Impossible franchise. I don't know why I mentioned specifically Star Trek Beyond, but whatever. The point. And according to the synopsis, this lovely Apple original film directed by the Elton John biopic Rocket Man, Dexter Fletcher, actor turned director, one of pretty good ones based on Rocket Man's film, based on Rocket Man itself, the film. So Ghosted describes itself as that, or at least reading off of IMDb's page. Cole falls head over heels for enigmatic Sadie, but then makes the shocking discovery that she's a secret agent. Before they can decide on a second date, Cole and Sadie are swept away on an international adventure to save the world. Now, reading that, I have notes having seen the movie, because I'm like, that's what they say here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hopefully this doesn't make as much interference with this. Oh, maybe my headphones will do this, but I'm going to bring this lovely little cord down here as I read the, let's see here. As I read the description, there we go, on Apple TV. Sorry for that interference. Okay, so that's the description on IMDb. On Apple TV, it says, Salt of the Earth Cole falls head over heels for enigmatic Sadie, but then makes a shocking discovery that she's a secret agent. I'm sorry. Let me start that again. Salt of the Earth Cole falls head over heels for enigmatic Sadie, but then makes the shocking discovery that she's a secret agent. Before they can decide on the second date, Cole and Sadie are swept away on an international adventure to save the world. Yeah. I had the yeah in there, but that's basically how this reads. I just like how they omitted Salt of the Earth from the description on IMDb. Like, I guess it was too mean to say he's a farmer. He works on the farm. That's the difference. He works on a farm. That's stinking mic. Okay. Interference, sorry. Yep, there we go. Okay, he works on a farm. That's not that enigma. It's Salt of the Earth. All right, always with these descriptions and premises, just kind of oversell the movie a bit. But enigmatic is also a stretch, because unfortunately, as we've come to learn in this misogynistic society, anytime you describe a woman as enigmatic, they usually come off as a very unpleasant word. Well, not because they come off as that. It's because you've already labeled that. You've already labeled it. And it sets up a precedent. What I'm saying is this is a movie about why you don't listen to your parents when it comes to dating. Why? Even though the movie kind of it's a romcom, so it'll balance itself out in the end. But again, the parents here, they are not the best here. They are not the best at all of this. So let me be frank. The poster itself kind of says enough. One, she's the badass in this situation. He's the himbo who has no knowledge except for farm stuff and does not realize, oh, wait, you got ghosted by a spy. Here's the thing. This movie is fine. I like it. It's cool. It's a rom-com movie that I would have loved to go watch in theaters and would have probably and being in theaters would have elevated this a little bit more than what it should have been. But this did play a little bit. This did feel a bit like a TV movie with Hollywood actors. Not gonna lie about that, which is disappointing considering what I just listed as accolades. Like these guys the writers were behind some of great episodes of American Dad, and two of them were literally wrote Deadpool movies. I can't. It's just, I don't know. I like the movie. I just have problems with that description because of the fact that after watching the movie, I'm like, no, this is a story about why dudes get clingy and why literally Apple Tag is the worst thing ever for an emotionally insecure man to have in this day and age. Because that's how he find out. Here, all right, let me just lay this out for you. So, long story short, she comes back. She's basically, we don't know that she's talking to her boss, and we think she's talking to her therapist in the beginning. But basically, long story short, she ends up at this farmer's market and he's running his dad's booth because he's a farmer who got hurt. He's okay now. He's okay-ish now, but he's also like, using that as an excuse to not live his life. Cole's using his dad's injury as an excuse not to go out, travel, and live his life. Never left the country, all that fun stuff. He meets her looking for a very beautiful plant, not realizing plants have maintenance. Per the advice of her boss, get a house plant, But unfortunately, this is where chaos ensues. I mean, think about it. She ends up arguing with her because she thinks she's trying to look for a low maintenance plant, not realizing how much plants need love, but she still wants the original petunia plant. And yeah, it's kind of not a surprise that, of course, anything she can't care about dies. Like, she already comes across as very closed off, emotionally cold and everything. Like, and he's just stage 11 clingy. Of course. So yeah, of course, when he spends a great date with her, they get to know each other. And of course he gets ghosted because he decides to send not one, not two, but then 4 text messages and including emojis. His asinine thinking, and this is a line from the movie, thinking emojis don't count. No, emojis count. Emojis count, my dude. I live on the internet. Trust me on this one. Emojis count. And he thinks of this, and his parents give him the grand idea once he figures out, because there's a moment where they race each other upstairs, and, we know watching this trailer, having watched the trailer that, yeah, she might be an agent. She might be a secret agent. And she's flexing her skills by outrunning this former Avenger up the stairs. But, movies. And the funniest part is the fact that literally his sister in the movie, who plays his sister, by the way? That's a curious question. Scroll my computer. Scroll. Lizzie Broadway. Who is Lizzie Broadway? Oh, interesting. Yeah, so Lizzie Broadway, who's like guest stars in shows like Showtime and NCIS and Bones and Chicago PD. She's apparently in the new spin-off series, Gen V from The Boys universe on Amazon Prime. So, yeah, her character of Maddie, Cole's sister, is the only one speaking sense, simply because of the fact that, how do I put this? You look like a creep by stalking a woman by following a woman to another country. You had never left the country to begin with. And this is the reason you do it. You also apparently, I'm not going to give too much away here, but he basically just does red flag shit for like the first half of this movie. She is already on red flags. She's on her own red flag central with the way she's just not letting anyone in emotionally. And when you start meeting some of her former lovers, you realize, oh, she really don't give a damn about these dudes. I was about to go hard with the expletives. I'm trying to take it easy this episode, but all right. And you know what? Fuck it. It's a PG-13 movie. I can be rated R on here. She's fucking cold, man. She is ice cold about these dudes. And frankly, the movie itself is awesome. I enjoyed it. It's a nice, happy, fun time. It's great. It definitely makes you look, it has the Midsummer effect on me where I'm looking at this movie like, oh my God, I used to be this dude. boyfriends watching Midsummer, girlfriends watching Midsummer. That meme where they lift a frame out of The Departed to show him like, oh, okay, she's on to shit, and she's like, yeah, this motherfucker's been gaslighting me. But look, well, I mean to say the reason I bring all that up is because of the fact that this is it's a nice rom-com movie. It's sweet, but it's just hilarious in the first like half of it, because before it delves into the traditional formula of a rom-com action movie, it's kind of funny because it's just both of them are terrible. Both of them are just terrible. She's just emotionally cut off to the point of letting dudes like lose limbs and body parts over her. And he's a stage level clingy dude who just does not think emojis count. And nah, bro. I'm sorry. I can't get behind either one of y'all needing to be in the dating pool like at this point in time. No. Like dating someone and coworkers, there's a mention of that where they talk about dating someone in your profession. I'm like, yeah, I know people who do that. That hasn't worked out for them well. That hasn't worked out all that well for them either, most of the time. I mean, unless you're like, unless you're doing like, webcam content and stuff, in which case, it actually just works, shakes out. Everyone gets paid, everyone gets laid. It's a fun time, actually. As I sit here verbally and outwardly thinking about my lifestyles up to this point to make me have to go review a podcast where Captain America, of all people, is a stage 5 clinger. And the one saving him is a woman who's just basically whooped ass all throughout the one like 5 to 15 minute interval she's in No Time to Die, the Bond movie No Time to Die. In fact, actually, that's the best reason I can justify enjoying this movie. It's a nice little preview for me. It's a nice little taste of watching a post Marvel Chris Evans flex his acting chops yet again after having done that in like playing a villain in The Gray Man and playing and of course these two being alumni of the Knives Out, of the film Knives Out, with Daniel Craig. So they were great. Like, they were great in that movie. They're great in this. There's great chemistry all around. You really that's what holds this movie, the chemistry between the two of them. That, like, it's just solid stuff. And, there's a great supporting cast there. Adrian Brody's a nice, pretty awesome villain. He's really comedic as hell, too. Like, I wish Barry was an ending. I would love to have seen him in that, even though he popped up in last season of Succession. Just fun. I enjoyed the movie. I did enjoy the movie. It's going to be a nice taste for when Ana de Armas gets her own little John Wick spinoff coming out later this year. So this has just been fun. It's just a fun little movie. I enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it if you watch it. Is it worth the Apple free trial? I mean, yeah, if you're stoned or just bored, you're not trying to make your brain work all that hard, trying to figure out the meanings and themes and foundation. Yeah, pretty much solid. Or if you're kind of like happied out from Ted Lasso, which honestly is a stupid sentence for me to even say. I haven't even watched the show and I'm like, you know what? That show seems like it would restore my soul. It really would. But anywho, what I say is, you know what? It's pretty good. Ghost is pretty good. It's watchable. That's what I can say about it. It's more watchable than a good chunk of stuff I've seen in a good chunk of my lifetime on television, streaming, and all that. It's watchable. That's what I can give it. It's a watchable movie. But I guess if anything, the first half is a red flag self-check right there. That's the best way I can recommend this movie. If you ever have problems wondering whether or not you're a red flag, that movie is a self-check. That and Midsummer are self-checks on whether or not you are a very, very bad person. Whether you're a very bad person or you're just very emotionally unavailable, or you're just unavailable in general because you're off moitering people. You're off just moitering. You're off just moitering for the country. For, just shooting people for Lady Liberty. Blah, 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 blah. America. That went down a hole, but who cares? Look, it's just fun. It's a good, fun movie. It's hilarious. And again, it is a reason why men should not have access to Apple technology like AirTags, because I don't want to do. I was very uncomfortable watching that dude track where his inhaler was because he gave it to this girl. That's sketch. I'm sorry. That's sketch. His sister is right. Sketch as hell. Sticks a total creep. And I mean, yeah. Just go watch the movie. You'll know what I'm talking about. There's just moments where you just feel like this man is flags. This man is a human flag. But whatever. It's a watchable movie. Go watch it. It's good for rom-com. It's good to maybe just enjoy a low frequency, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how else to pitch that, but it's good. Everyone's in it. It's great. It's a fun time. It's a fun movie. That's the best way of putting it. It's a fun movie. All right. I think I've said enough. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's only on Apple TV Plus. So, if you have that, go ham. If not, borrow somebody's. Or get a free trial like I did. I have like 6 email addresses, so whatever. Let's go. All right, that's it. Sky Reviews is over. I'm going to go cleanse myself with HBO as usual. I'm kidding. I'm just going to use YouTube. Bye-bye. Oh, right. We are back. And now we're going to talk about something that's been on my mind, and we're going to get real into it. So here we go. What's been on my mind? Well, as you probably heard in that last segment before I weird noised my way into I don't know if I weird noised my way out of the intro or out of the review, but I think I just did it out of the review. Oh, no, it was the intro. That was my mistake. Okay. Either way, this is my long day of recording. Point is, I'm here to talk about what's been on my mind. And what's been on my mind was unfortunately triggered by the movie I watched. So I'm watching the Apple original film Ghosted, starring Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, in a rom-com action adventure film where while trying to defeat a villainous French Adrian Brody, Ana de Armas ends up meeting up with a very mansplainy salt of the earth, as they describe him, literally on Apple TV Plus, Cole. He meets de Armas' Sadie, and they kind of hit it off after being very, commanding. He basically mansplains to her why she can't have a plant, and why she's basically devoid of love. And that was a lot, but she was also very emotionally I know she was emotionally unavailable, but again, that's not really a reason to go off and say you're incapable of love. That is really the whole crux of the man problem here in this society. But going under that, we're further into the story. Long story short, they mend the bridge, I guess, and they have fun and they enjoy themselves. And we find out that Chris Evans cannot outrun Ana de Armas upstairs, and blah 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 blah. Further into the story, it gets to a point where they separate, and she basically ghosts him. He's been sending text messages all day. He finds out he geotagged his inhaler and left it in her bag. And suddenly he realizes, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to see where she is and just look her up, which is weird. But you're looking up your inhaler, so I get your excuse. But still weird. And then finds out she's in London, and his parents are like, go to London and surprise her. Yeah. And he's like, what? And his sister is the only one of reasoning, saying, no, she thinks you're going to be a creep. She already saw him with the selfie that she took while she was sleeping next to him after they slept together. And it was really weird because that geotag shit reminded me of Twitter in the bad way. See, in the age before the SpaceX guy owned the joint, I remember seeing threads, not too long ago even, actually, because I started getting back on Twitter just during the pandemic, actually. So that's where I ended up with, from like a couple hundred tweets to 30,000 tweets, close to, if not 40. I don't know, but I'll check later. Anywho, the tweet threads are talking about how they put the AirTags from Apple on cars. And so with the iPhones, a man could literally track a woman's car to wherever she lived and have a whole route of her day if they wanted. Some real stalker-esque shit. And now I'm watching it as a plot point of none other than an Apple original film. Now that part got me thinking about what I really had started to spark a thought that has just now been on my mind. Well, what's been on my mind? Dating and technology. Now, I want to preface this. First off, I understand how some parts of technology people will be like, oh, dating can talk. That's a real general statement. No, what I mean is dating an interactive, communicative technology. In terms of technology for people to communicate and talk to in general, that's just a utility. Again, I see technology as utility. We'll kick that off right there. It is all a tool. We are building technology for a specific tool. When it doesn't work the way we work, we blame the technology and not the quality of the people on it or using it or knowledgeably or knowingly or comprehensively knowing how to use it efficiently. See, as a good friend of mine has once told me, I value precision of expression. So it will not shame me, or I will not feel shame for admitting this is the second time I've recorded this rant, because that's how far gone I've strayed away from the topic. But I always have a plan, and that's the thing. These men are out here without plans. They don't have plans. They have a priority. They have a target. They have a prime directive. And the problem is that it's not lining up with their emotional needs. So it's just making things worse. So adding technology, which in a society filled with just instant gratification, that's basically kerosene to a fire, my dude. Like in the age of where Amazon basically became the super Walmart of the internet, I mean, that's kind of chaotic. It just puts too much strain on society because now we expect everything to work like Amazon. 2-day, if not same day, prime shipping on any form of ass we want. No one needs to know that. The internet has provided you such instant gratification that you now start demanding it from other people, not realizing human beings need time to rest, heal, and absorb, and sometimes shed and change and, become better than they were yesterday. I mean, that's just wishful thinking because, again, I have to remember, as the song goes, this is America. I mean, come on. The education system here is whack as hell. There's no comprehensive sex education ever. The most comprehensive sex education I've learned, I've had to piece together over years of internet research. Years. Because that's how bare bones it was. It was just purely reproductive. It had no sense of sexual pleasure or anything about that. It's just straight up, this is how you make kids. Now don't ever fucking do this or you'll die. I mean, which there's some truth in that, especially if you're black and you're, there's a higher chance of pregnancy complications if you're black just from the sheer system alone being racist as shit. So I don't understand the concept. So I guess I'm saying all that to say there's no comprehensive sex education. Without that, there's no chance for men to even understand that. And when they're just taught to be hard all the time, of course you get a bunch of cock diesel motherfuckers who just can't, do anything but want to, fuck and win. That's all they're built to do, fuck and win. And that's great, but you can't mold a person out of that. I mean, you could try, but based on the personality, they'll either take to it like a moth to a flame or turn into a rabid dog you tried to, that realizes you're aiming a gun at it. It's just, no. I'm sorry, that's just not happening. And the way people are treated, I'm watching the menu and there is a moment where that's realized that someone was brought to this place to die. And the whole reason is because they didn't want to waste a ticket. And they don't serve single tickets to this place, single person tickets or reservations to this restaurant. Yeah, that's some fucked up shit. Imagine that. I mean, oof, it's some hardcore. It's just chaos, all right? It's chaos in this dating life. And you know what? I've seen people make it out of here. I've seen people do great other places. I mean, hell, I almost became part of a throuple while I was doing a play. That was on purpose, though. They're very lovely people, and it's hard to not get encapsulated by lovely people who don't hail from this country. I really did have my own Vicky Cristina Barcelona moment almost. Good Lord. Okay. I'm saying too much. I'm going to have to cut that part out, but the point I'm trying to get here is that if I'm, I'll leave that part in because at this point, it's safe to say that, you know what, if it gets to the point where someone like me, and if anyone knows me personally, me wanting to be a part of a throuple is kind of a sign that things are on fire. and not in a good way, like in the bad way where you have to get tested for it. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, that's what that is. Dating and technology is just chaotically upended human interaction. We don't know how to talk anymore. We don't know how to deal with each other. We get awkward and crap. It's getting weird. And we don't even know when people are on drugs and we just recorded them like, oh my God, look, and they're just vibing out. Like, no, motherfucker, they're on acid and Molly. They're candy flipping right now. They are high as hell. It doesn't matter. It's just, I feel like we've lost communication skills over the last couple of decades, and it's really noticeable. I had a friend who pointed this out, like ever since the election, people are just getting dumber with their stuff. They've just gotten dumber. They just start believing everything and just latching on to stuff. And it's like they found an excuse. I mean, that does make sense politically, at least, because you want the type of constituents you can mold to say what you want. And if you can't align, they can't always align with you, but if you can at least mold them to, fall in line when you need to, that's your own little militia right there. And you know what? The reason I keep getting off track with technology is because that's how influential technology is. It's shaped how we try to win elections and misinform people about them. And the wildest part about that is the level of gaslighting in elections is nothing compared to what people do on these apps. Catfishing. Just absolute rampant catfishing. And the part is, I just feel bad for the women involved because they're just looking for nice dudes, and none of these dudes are serious. I know a few good guys, but it's also like just the algorithm is not in your favor. The algorithm is just recycling you trash. It's just recycling trash for you. That's all it is. And people are just getting worse in general sometimes. You have to literally go out and look for quality people. But then that might sully the idea of whether or not you're friends or whatever. And based on how well you can communicate, emotions may not be up in the line. And that's okay as long as you talk everything out. But the problem is just that the trial and error, at least in my case, the trial and error is the problem. I guess the problem is that when there's no results other than when there's no results, when the results are nothing, you eventually start wondering if it's worth it. And as I'm seeing people, like, it seems worth it, just not worth it in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a beast of its own entirely because of it. I mean, people date on Twitter before they date in real life. I should know. I am attempting that exact same feat at the moment. I mean, that's really what that is, in the sense, because I have to be frank about it. Dating does not give me hope for this future. Looking at the dating landscape and what people get dragged over for Twitter and discourse, considering a good chunk of that is out here, I'm not sure I want to date out here. I mean, I barely wanted to date on the East Coast. It was just not good. Maybe I just have terrible dating choices. Maybe this whole rant was just me realizing I have terrible dating choices, and we're all being manipulated by technology and letting ourselves get manipulated by technology. Either way, how do I wrap this up? Because this thing, I keep wanting it to stay on the rails, but it just keeps going off the rails because it's too much to talk about. It's chaos. But I think here's what we can do for dating in terms of technology. Rely more on the person you want to see. I guess the best advice I can give is the reason I can't figure out how to rant about it effectively is because the point is just maybe the key thing to remember about dating is to make an effort. If you make an effort, you will get repeat success. Make efforts. Make intentional efforts. Do nice things. Pay for dates. Have a plan. Work stuff out. Communicate. I feel like that will just lead to better relationships or better communication with lovers and just, fun times. You don't have to be embarrassed about your kinks. Communicate helps. Communication helps. Planning helps. Coordination helps. All that stuff. I guess what I'm trying to say is that everyone's gotten lazy in dating, and it's made dating heinous and chaotic because no one feels like they need to change or do anything. And now it's just, I'm awaited in Valhalla vibes. So I guess. Anywho, I guess I could just wrap this up here. Our 15-minute hourglass is up anyway. And you know what? Here, if you are dating and you're listening to this, and look, I'm speaking as a man who's just been ruined of dating and life in general. But hey, it's not the end of the world. It's just, look at it this way. I still believe in love. Just when it comes to me, I'm a little more skeptical. I don't want to be skeptical. But I feel like that problem is a little more internal than I realize. But anywho, I think I've ran out of steam on this one. So I'm just going to peter myself out. Weird noises. And with that, for this week, the experiment is now complete. The experiment is now available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts as of this week. So go ahead, check it out, and also follow us on the socials for any updates, like on Instagram at Scott the Experiment and on Twitter at Scott Experiment. And there'll be new episodes every Monday. So kick off your quote-unquote work week off right. That was a lot of weird backward English I just did just now. But hey, either way, if it gets you to come back, please come back every Monday. The Experiment with me, Raineri. Peace.